And the Oscar goes to? Are they playing us off?
No. Well, maybe. Anora.
Well, hello, and welcome to episode 207 of Drink the Movies. I am Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, last night was Oscar night.
Last night was Oscar night, Brian. And even though we were an ocean away, an ocean apart, I feel like we stayed pretty well connected through the whole night. An ocean away, you're only an ocean away, having a vacation away. Yeah, I don't know.
No songs except for the songs. We'll talk about that.
Well, yeah, except for the songs that aren't nominated. We'll do plenty of those. Oh, including, yeah, we got to talk about that. Yeah, so Oscar night last night, it was awesome. We did some cool stuff at the house. I still got a red carpet picture with the sweetest date that I could have, my kiddo. That was awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah, it was the very first time he really got into it. Like I made him a little Oscar Pick'em. He doesn't have an email address yet, so I couldn't officially join the You Pick'em contest, and that wouldn't be fair anyway. But he did pretty good. He picked like Dune Part 2 for pretty much everything that was possible.
He wrote in Dune when it wasn't possible.
That was yeah, he did. Turns out that was not the worst thing to have done. At least he got a couple right. That was interesting.
Not a terrible idea. Yeah, there were a lot of big winners last night. Of course, Anora being the biggest one. We'll talk about all of that. There were a lot of misses, and that was one of the things we talked about in the pre-show. Was just how like strange the Oscars were going to be. Like it could go like any number of ways, and last night it went away, and we're going to be talking all about that. But first, Michaela, as you mentioned, we are an ocean away, so I was not able to be there on the red carpet with you this year. That was very sad. So we ended up making our cocktails apart. I wanted to let everyone know that I did imbibe in a couple of drinks myself. Right, I'm on vacation down in the Caribbean this week, so of course I started my night off with a rum old fashioned, as you do, and then in honor of both Oscar night and Michaela, I had last night right before the Oscars. My cheers was a Kir Royale.
Aww, that makes me really. You sent me the picture and I was like, what is that? That's lovely. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, we usually imbibe quite a bit of cava on Oscar night. Can't confirm. To be fair, I only broke into one bottle of my $8 Wycliffe because I was smart and I got better stuff this time. I think
that's why you're so alert this morning, I think.
Right? I mean, I was feeling it. I don't think I drunk texted anybody to tell them I loved them. Well, that's not true. But I did drink a lot last night, but I feel really good. I got into some Mumm. I had not had Mumm champagne in a long time. Okay. So there was a champagne rosé that was, I don't know, it was between 20 and $30, which seems pretty reasonable for champagne. And then Krueg was a bottle that, and we've actually been there, you and I, in different times. We went to Krueg in Santa Fe. That is where they have kind of a tasting room, which is interesting. That's not where they make the wine. That's not where they make it, but that's where I learned about it. And I was like, oh, this is really good. So there we go.
Yeah, Mumm's a good one because they do have Mumm actual all-out champagne in France there in the Champagne region, but you can also get Mumm. They have a Napa Valley Mumm branch, I guess, as it were, too. So you can get that pretty inexpensively, and it's really good quality one if you're looking for something, to not break the bank and have a couple of bottles of come Oscar nights. But there were a couple of cocktails that we had to have Oscar nights. Well, you had them Oscar night. I had them the night before I left, just to make sure I could talk about them a little bit. And we talked about them a little bit last week when we had Jake on the podcast. We went through kind of the prep of both of these cocktails. These were what they were serving at the Governor's Ball last night. Allegedly, we did not get an invite to the Governor's Ball, so I can't confirm firsthand. But if the internet is to believe, they were serving up some Don Julio cocktails, the Golden Age Gimlet and the Class Act. So let me run through those ingredients here real quick. We talked about them more last week, so you can go listen to just kind of the first 10 minutes or so of that episode if you want to get that, and check out the website, drinkthemovies.com, for the written recipes, all that stuff. But the Golden Age Gimlet was 1.5 ounces of Tequila Blanco, 1.5 ounces of pineapple juice, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, and a half an ounce of vanilla syrup. Go ahead and make your simple syrup. Add some vanilla bean to that or vanilla extract to it. Go ahead and shake that up. Strain it into a Nick and Nora glass and garnish with an olive. It's delicious. Michaela, I want to get your thoughts on that one here in just a second. The other one was the class act. It was a milk punch. So go ahead and into a container, 1.5 ounces of mint infused Don Julio 1942, 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, a half ounce of simple syrup, and then you're just going to put in 1/3 of an ounce of whole milk in there to do the milk punch bit. Go ahead and let that curdle kind of overnight, and then strain that out. Out the milk curds there, and you're going to get left with this crystal clear, very complex tasting 3-ingredient cocktail. So let's start with the Golden Age Gimlet. Or no, let's start with the class act, Michaela, because that one takes the most work. You posted a video of you making it on our Instagram feed, so you can go check out those reels over there. But making a milk punch, how did that experience go for you, and what did you think about the cocktail?
So we've made a milk punch before, and but we were together, or you made it and had me drink it. And so I was real scared doing it all by myself because it's supposed to be crystal clear. And it turns out that it's really hard to mess this up if you followed the instructions. The only thing that I would say is it takes time. So this is not something that you're going to make like the morning of even. You really need to make sure that if you're going to drain it and sift it, whatever we do to liquids, do we sieve liquids? Anyway, you're going to do that multiple times to get it nice and crystal clear. But it was absolutely amazing. I was explaining this drink to a friend of mine, and they were like, "This sounds awful, Michaela. You're going to put milk in a tequila drink?" And I was like, "No. I promise. The science. I don't know why, but it works. Okay." And it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
I think that the mint. I don't recall having Don Julio 1942 as a shot ever in my life. Okay. So I can't speak to the comparativeness of the mint infused versus the non-mint infused, but this was like the most smooth, beautiful tequila sipping drink ever. It was really lovely. I really liked it. And it's really not hard to make. It just took time. So it's something that I don't know if I'll spring out for 1942 and do this again, but I will probably make something like this in like a giant batch style and then keep it in my fridge.
Okay. Yeah, that is one of the nice things about the milk punch is it will last for a really long time. So you can keep it in the, sealed up in a, glass container in the fridge and you're going to be good to go. Yeah, this cocktail was amazing. It was really, really complex. Like it tasted like there were about 100 different ingredients in it, even though it's just the three there, the mint infused tequila, the lemon juice, and the simple syrup. But yeah, that one was really, really nice. Just served straight up over an ice cube. That was a good one. And yeah, it was a really good way to do a milk punch without, having to go like nuts on ingredients. Obviously the 1942 is expensive, but you could, try that out with another kind of tequila, maybe one you just have on hand and, do that. And it's a good way to practice on that technique as well, before you make a more complicated cocktail and try to do a milk punch. So it's a good way to play with that style there. And then the Golden Age Gimlet was amazing. I think on the pre-show I imagined it as what sitting in a resort seaside in Mexico would taste like if you put it into a glass, and that was it. It was like a tiki drink, but every once in a while you get this little pop of salinity from where that olive would just drip down a little bit of brine. Yep. It was amazing.
Yeah we when we were talking about this and you were talking about how you were not confused, but hesitant because of the olive. It got me thinking about which olive would be best. So I made this with like a martini olive. I made this with like a Castle Strana. I think that's how I'm saying it. Olive that didn't have the pimento in it. I think the jury of myself decided that the martini olive was actually the way to go because it was more. I don't know, the olive was meatier and you don't want it to fall apart. You want it to really stay and that salinity was great. I thought that this was an inspired cocktail because it's very easy to make. And honestly, vanilla syrup, you can't get much easier than that. You make simple syrup, and if you're in a pinch and you don't have like vanilla bean, you just add some vanilla extract to it and it's perfectly fine, right? You could get You could even use coffee vanilla syrup, although that'll be real sweet. But this is like 4 ingredients, and it was beautiful. I love it. Now, we say this every time: fresh pineapple juice, fresh lime juice. If you can get fresh, use fresh because it will
Hmm.
taste a lot better. You really will notice the difference. But I thought both of these cocktails were triumphs. And I was really proud. If you saw the video, Brian, I got it to be clear. I was really excited.
Yeah, you did. You did a good job. So yeah, check those out. Check out the reel there on Instagram if you want a little bit more of that. And like I said, you can check out the website for pictures of ours and all the social medias and stuff about that. So now that we have the cocktails out of the way, Michaela, let's go ahead and head out to the red carpet. Talk to you a little bit about this. I didn't get to watch most of the pre-show, really. Again, because I was traveling, but I did catch a little bit of the fashion. It looked pretty good. There wasn't anything like too crazy. There was a little bit there that they did Conan and Adam Sandler about him, dressing like
Yeah.
himself, I guess, at the Oscars. That was kind of fun. But red carpet, was there any fashion that stood out to you? Kind of what I've gathered from the internet. Everyone was saying that Demi Moore and Ariana Grande kind of took the evening in terms of their beautiful looks, I guess. But what say you, Michaela, as the fashionista of the two of
So
us?
in my next life, I want to come back and be able to wear Elle Fanning's dresses because she
Oh, okay.
looked stunning. She was my favorite dress. That was my favorite look of the night. Now, Demi Moore
Hmm.
looked
Hmm.
equally amazing. She has hips for days, and I don't know. It was this beautiful like I don't know if it was sequin, but it was sparkly and it was silver and black, and it was just beautiful. Ariana Grande, I love the color. I love pink. I mean, obviously, it looked kind of like she was wearing a lampshade. Um, I think that the looks that she had on the actual stage when she was performing were way better. That's just my opinion, but I loved
Hmm.
that. Let's see. Let's talk about the men. Timothy Chalamet, dude, I love you. And it was nice to know that if he like stopped breathing in the middle of the show, we all could run because we would know that the canary was going down, right?
Oh
It was
yeah,
like it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like we were in
No more oxygen in
yeah.
in
Oh,
the theater there. Yeah.
I just want to say, yeah, I don't know what I don't understand the color choice, but he's cute as a button. He looked great. And then Coleman Domingo. Oh my gosh, he had this like shoulder thing going on with his suit that looked amazing. Adrian Brody had this weird brooch thing that was really cool.
I think Coleman Domingo would have a hard time making an outfit look bad, to be honest.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they
he was
all probably would, right?
he
Yeah,
was right up front. You could see him like standing up like as soon as anything ever happened. Yeah, he
yeah.
was having a good night. He was having a good time. Yeah, the men's fashion was pretty good as well. I did not really, I guess, speaking to the fashion, but the costume design. I did like that they brought out kind of everyone from the represented films, and then kind of put up different kind of examples of the costumes and behind them there in terms of that. So I thought that that was kind of a neat way to do that. So I thought that that was pretty fun, and certainly we'll talk about those. Briefly as we kind of make our way through the nominations here. The other kind of two big things that we had new this year, we had a first time host in Conan. Pretty much universally loved, which we talked about last week. We were pretty much on the same side of the fence, is looking forward to seeing what Conan had to bring to the Oscars. And I thought overall it did pretty good. I didn't think that all the things landed super well, and that's one of the great things about Conan, because he understands that when things aren't going to land very well, and he's very kind of self-depreciating about that, which is one of the reasons we all love Conan so much. But I thought he did a pretty good job. I would not be upset to see Conan back for another run at this.
No, no. I mean, I liked it. I liked how he had to have had so many jokes up his sleeve depending on how the night went, right? I mean, there was
Hmm.
things specifically that he talked about that he wouldn't be able to say if other films had won. So I kind of like that, where he really was kind of flying by the seat of his pants moment to moment. It was I could have done without his song about wasting time because that's exactly what it did, and I
Fair,
didn't love
true.
that. Look,
Which
listen,
maybe
people of
was the
all like
point.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. It was just it was lost on me. Because we still ended up in situations where we were ushering people off the stage, right? And it was like,
Hmm.
that minute and a half long skit could have gone to somebody who, especially when we have 6 people winning for some of these awards and they all go on stage and they want to all have their say to say thank you. I mean,
Hmm.
that's tough. But yeah, Conan was great. And can we talk about the opening number that was a song that was not a song that we were gonna talk about? I mean, can we?
It was a song medley, but it led the way into the song that everyone wanted to hear for the Oscars, which was ineligible to be nominated for the Oscars. So I mean, I guess that's fine to open the show with something like that. Like that makes sense, I guess, from like an entertainment sort of a thing. But then you also had, yeah, you mentioned Conan's song. They also had the big kind of like James Bond theme kind of medley thing. 'Cause they were paying honor to James Bond, I guess, which was fine. Now I want to talk about that here in just a second. But I don't know. Like they took out the performances for best song to allegedly cut down on runtime, but then they inserted these other songs, which really seemed to kind of fill in that time. So I didn't quite understand that. But yeah, the first one was okay, I guess, just to set like an entertaining tone kind of a thing. But I don't know, either get them out of there or don't.
Yeah, I was at first I was going to be real mad about it because I didn't know that they were actually going to perform. But then the performance was so good. I cried. I mean, and you know me, I cry at everything anyway, but I was not expecting to be as emotional with the medley of the three songs they did.
Hmm.
I thought that that was really neat. And then I thought maybe it was because Wizard of Oz was having its like because it was a meld between Wizard
Hmm.
of Oz songs
Right.
and Wicked music, right?
Hmm.
And so I thought that it was maybe because Wizard of Oz was also having like a milestone, but that's not true.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, no, the performance was spectacular. So I mean, hats off to them. But yeah, I thought that it was a little strange. They had been saying, I guess, over the last couple of weeks that there would be a performance by them, and
Oh,
everyone
okay.
kind of
I just
assumed
was living under a rock. Okay.
that it was going to be, yeah, get out from underneath that rock, Michaela. Yeah, so I mean that was fine. Let's talk about the James Bond one a little bit. I like that it tied in because they did give the governor's award to Barbara Broccoli, so they were doing that and kind of celebrating, kind of the James Bond, empire, I guess, as it were, right? The history here, kind of James Bond. So I didn't mind that necessarily. I thought that it got a little bit kind of long with the three because you had like there were almost like two dance performances and then like the three of like the James Bond songs. So I thought that was a little bit long. I don't mind doing something like that to, kind of give a little bit of a look at who won the governor's award earlier in the year. Like I like that in theory, but I thought that just that particular instance or this particular instance this year was a little bit long in the tooth for me.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about this James Bond kind of thing?
I thought they could have cut it in half, and it would have been fine. Um, I mean, I liked that they paid homage to some of the music as well as like, and I love Margaret Qualley. She's like
Hmm.
this amazing looking. It was a red dress that I wanted to wear the rest of my life. She looked great. All the dancers did a great job, but
Hmm.
it for me it felt like the brutalist in that I was like, are we still singing this? Oh, okay, now we're moving to another song that they did, and most of them, the songs were all fairly recent. I would have liked, and maybe it's because it was all of the ones that had been done by Barbara Broccoli. Maybe that was the reasoning. Because I
Yeah, it could
was
be.
I was really hoping that we would get like Nobody Does It Better because that was from like 70s James Bond, and that was really epic and amazing. So I don't know. I thought it was all right, but again, to me, if you're gonna cut something out about the nominated people, about the nominated work,
Hmm.
and you're then why insert things, and you're gonna insert other things, that's fine because this was also nominated, right? This person was being honored, but then we still were cutting people off at the end of the movie, at the end of the show, and I didn't love that. So
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I do think that it helped with the pacing a little bit. In my estimation, not having the pictures in there because I mean that would have been five more performances. So I don't know. Like I'm okay with it. I think that there are still some things to tweak there and kind of dial in a little bit on that sort of thing. I thought that the actual like flow of the awards seemed pretty good, more or less, and we'll talk a little bit about that here right now, Michaela. Because let's talk about kind of the speeches, the presenters. Were there any highlights for you other than the obvious highlight, which was the best picture presentation by Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal. They're coming back
Yeah.
to give out the not only it to give you the best picture, but to also remind you that Billy Crystal was the best of all of these people that have ever done the Oscars for sure. So
Yeah.
it reminded you of that. It reminded you of them. They're having a big year. They had the Super Bowl ad as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
So that's pretty nice. And no shade to Al Pacino, but it was certainly better than last year's Best Picture.
Yep. And the best picture, yeah, highlights for me. I thought, let's see. I mean, we're gonna run through all the winners. So this do we can I
Yeah,
just jump in there?
yeah, just whichever. Yeah, yeah, sure.
So Kieran Culkin, holy moly. I was so glad he won. His speech gave me chills. I loved it so much. He's just, oh my gosh. It was so great. It was so great. It was like both like totally meaningful and lighthearted and sweet and like real. It was awesome. I loved it. I really loved when Wicked won for best costuming. I loved Zoe Saldana and her speech. She was so heartfelt in her gratitude and kind of the wonder of it all. And I loved that. I loved the way that they paid homage to, and you talked about it a little bit, pay homage to the costumes. They kind of went nominee by nominee in a couple of for the best actors and best supporting actors and
Hmm.
actresses. And I liked that because you were able to really kind of hone in on the work that was being done. And so to see them being honored, it also helped remind them that they were, that there were a ton of worthy candidates this year.
Hmm. Yeah, I like the way they did that this year better than last year, where they had basically like the nominees like friend or mentor or something come out and give like a little spiel about them. Like I didn't mind that, but that felt a little bit kind of long-winded too. So I liked this one better, where you just had the one presenter came out and said a little nice thing about each of
Yeah.
the nominees. I thought that worked pretty well. I thought, and kind of paid homage to all of these actors and actresses that were nominated through these this year, because obviously you kind of look at it and you're like, oh, did a good job, but to pay a little bit more homage, because at the end of those, there's 20 nominees for the acting categories and there's only 4 winners. So
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. Gosh, let's talk about some of the shocking, the good and bad, right? I don't know if any of these were really bad, but I was shocked at how poorly I did on the animated front, um,
mm,
and how amazing you did on the animated front. Just in case anybody was not watching or listening last week, I made Magic Candies, the animated short film, and I wanted Wild Robot to win so bad. Neither of those things happened. In the Shadow of the Cypress won for animated short, which I think you called, Brian. I don't think you picked it, but I think that's what you said probably should win.
let's get into our winners here last night. Kieran Culkin, you mentioned, was the first one up for the evening. Just a quick aside, like I did like his speech as well, but his speech was like, I don't know, like 4 minutes long, something like that. So it seems like if you're going to put in like a fixed amount of time for people, like they were already behind, like after his very first one, right? So as nice as it did take away from other people's time later in the evening. So I don't know what you do about that. Like I don't produce the Oscars, which is why, because that it seems like a terrible, daunting job that's never going to go perfectly anyway. So Kieran Culkin wins Best Supporting Actor, and yeah, then the animated films here. So Flo wins the animated feature, and In the Shadows of the Cypress win the animated shorts. I don't know that I called it. I think that I said that was certainly my favorite of them. I
Mhm.
defaulted to Magic Candies, and I think you kind of went along with me there on that ride, because I think In the Shadows of the Cypress was your favorite of those as
Yes.
well. So I was very surprised to see it win, actually, but very glad to see it win. And then Flow, of course, we talked about that a little bit. We've covered The Wild Robot on there. It's a film that we both truly loved, but I don't know, Flow, there was something, at least for me and apparently for the rest of the voters, something incredibly special about that. And I loved their speech there in Latvia, which was really kind of the purpose of the film, right? In this sinking world, we're all in the same boat. So if we don't get along and help each other through it, then it's not going to go good. So
Yeah, no, I really loved that. For costume design, I mean, I think we both called Wicked, and I thought that that was really, I loved his speech. That was it's and he looked amazing. I think it's
Hmm.
tough when your job is to make people look a certain way, and then you have to dress yourself. I don't know, maybe that's the easiest thing in the world, but to me, it would be like, which way do I want to go, right?
Right.
But he looked awesome, and I loved his speech, and just the gratitude because he said it in a very different way than I'd ever heard it be done before, which was thanking people for their trust to help them create the characters that they were created. And I never thought of it like that, which is probably stupid on my part, but like
Hmm.
that's a relationship. Because in theory, these clothes, especially in Wicked, like everybody picks their clothes, everybody puts them on. But in reality, when you're making a movie, that relationship between the actor and the costume designer and then the characters, it needs to feel like that relationship doesn't exist because the clothes are so seamlessly fitting of
Hmm.
the embodiment of the character itself. So I thought that that was really amazing. That he said that a lot more eloquently than I just did.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, and what a daunting challenge because I mean, you obviously have this big, huge, epic production of Wicked, but you also then have people that really love and are dialed into The Wizard of Oz, so you need to pay enough homage to the way that that looked and felt, and obviously, you know, in the year 2024, when this comes out with all sorts of high definition cameras, you're seeing so much more of the costumes, right, than you would have in Wizard of Oz. So it has to look and feel like the Wizard of Oz, but you're playing with a completely different palette now in creating these things. Plus, you have people that love the stage musical Wicked as well, so you need to pay homage to those costumes. But again, you're watching these on an IMAX screen that's 100 feet wide. You're not seeing tiny little actors up on a stage, from 100 yards out. So yeah, what a daunting task. So yeah, Wicked wins that. I will say in our pick 'em, only one entry did not pick Wicked to win that category, and it might have been our guest last week. Jake, what are you even doing, Jake? Come on, that's okay. Let's get on to the screenplays here. We had the original screenplay was won by Sean Baker and Nora, and the adapted screenplay was won by Conclave here. Both excellently written films. I think we both picked Conclave and Nora. The original screenplays this year were really really good. Actually, all of the screenplays were really good. Part of me, even though I had picked Conclave to win, part of me really kind of wanted Nickel Boys to like sneak in there and win it
Yeah.
at the end, I will say. But that was your winners there for the original screenplays.
Yeah. For makeup and hair, I'm so glad that I stuck to my guns on that one because as they were reading out the nominations, I was like, oh man, that's hard. That's going to be really hard.
Hmm.
But I was really excited that the substance won. I was glad that it got something because it ended up, I think that might have been its only Oscar that it took home. Um, yeah, it looks like that's it. Look, so I was glad to see that it got some homage. I mean, and it's yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I
that's what I
I
got.
I picked Wicked in that category, and yeah, the substance I think was I don't maybe the smarter pick and the better pick. They're looking at it, especially because they're going through the montage of the different makeup and hairstylings in there. And good rule of thumb, I need to remember for myself that next year that they pretty much always pick whichever one is like the most bombastic of those. So even though there were a lot of crazy things in Wicked, none of them were as crazy as the crazy transformation that Demi Moore goes through in the substance. So yeah, so definitely rightfully so. Plus, we mentioned it last week. You have all of like the body horror portions of that as well, which also is into the makeup department and doing those things and pulling them off. And that was even how they got started there with Conan, climbing out of the back there of Demi Moore. So we
Yeah,
have the substance for makeup and hairstyling. Let's talk about editing here, Michaela. I think so I mentioned that everyone picked Wicked to win that. Only one person picked Anora to win the editing Oscar in our pick'em this year. Of all of the entries, only one, and it was you, Michaela. Anora wins
it
for
sure
best
was.
editing.
That's right. And look, I can't even describe why I picked it. I just liked the editing of it. I liked the way that especially there were a couple scenes where they almost go down her throat because she's being really loud and the shots are kind of right up in her face. And the way
True.
that right when she's fighting with someone and she's saying things and like they're closing up on her versus I don't know. And again, I'm for someone who watches a lot of movies, it's hard for me to kind of distinguish like is something an editing choice or was that a cinematographic choice?
Mhm.
But I was really excited to be the one person who got that right amongst us, you and me. Yeah, yay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were the only one. Yeah, I thought that it was a little weird that that was the scene they picked to highlight for the editing of her just yelling at these captors. But
Well,
hey, it did it. It did
she
it.
was
So,
there was no nudity in that scene too. I mean,
that's true.
that was it was
Those are
hard
few and far between. That's true.
because of the profession that she had, right?
Yep.
There were a lot of other like the opening sequence and the way that that was edited, I thought was really beautiful. It was a brave choice, but you could never show that on a regular show because it's everybody was naked. So, you know,
True. True.
choices were made.
Choices were made.
And we both made the great choice, I think, of picking Zoe Saldana for Best Supporting Actress. Look, I know that you were not a fan, and I wasn't really a fan of Emilia Perez, even though I liked it a lot better the second time I watched it. But Zoe Saldana, I was so glad to see her win because she was amazing in it. She was certainly, in my opinion, probably the best part about the film. And her speech was just so great and touching. I loved it so much.
Yeah, her speech was really great, and yeah, undoubtedly, she was the best part of that film. It's not even up for debate right there. But yeah, her speech was really great. So loved seeing that, and paying homage to her and all the things that she does. She has a very busy last year, so hopefully she gets a little bit of a rest coming up in 2025, or maybe she's just going to keep knocking down doors. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Production design, Wicked, of course it was. That wasn't even up for debate. I don't think. Very spectacular. It'll be interesting, I guess, with Wicked Part 2 coming out this year. It'll be the same as Doom Part 2, which won, all of the technical categories. And, Wicked's certainly ticked a couple of those boxes this year, how that's going to be remembered come next Oscar time, assuming that still comes out on the current time frame. But yeah, all those tulips takes it home for Wicked. And then
Yeah.
original song, that was El Mal from Amelia Perez. I think we both picked something else, and we both kind of said that the Amelia Perez was probably the smarter choice. I believe that won the Golden Globe for best song as well. So not really a shocker there for original song.
Nope. What was a shocker to me was the documentary, both good and bad, right?
Hmm.
So The Only Girl in the Orchestra, taking it home for the documentary short. Look, I really liked that film. I did not think that it was gonna win, like at all.
Yep.
So I was real surprised. I was really excited because I love the story, but that was shocking to me.
Hmm. Yep.
And then No Other Land taking home a feature length documentary. I was visible. I was shaken after that thank you speech.
Hmm.
There was a lot of emotion there, and I thought that look, it's a very divisive topic for everybody. I think if you're going to be educated in that at all, and I'm not, but I really loved the idea that two people of opposing views and opposing backgrounds could come together to try and figure out a way for peace for both
Hmm.
groups. And I thought that spoke to me. For right or wrong. And so I was really excited that we got to see No Other Land and that I was able to change my mind and pick it after seeing it because, yeah, I was glad to see that it won.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The Only Girl in the Orchestra, it was a good win. It was a good documentary. I watched that one kind of early because that was available to watch on Disney Plus, I think, for quite a while. And I think I even said in the pre-show last week that a lot of times the documentary short I'll pick or will go to something that's a little bit more lighthearted because everything else is such
Mm.
a heavier content matter. And that was maybe the case this year because the other four were all pretty dire for
Yep.
sure in the Oscar shorts. The Only Girl in the Orchestra is really great. great story as well. So go check that out. No Other Land, yeah, we had not had the chance to see it as of our previous recording, but we did make it out to see it on Wednesday. I stuck with Porcelain War, which was my pick and something that I'm still very interested to see. Hopefully that'll get to happen someday. Even the like the preview for it looked incredible on the little
Yeah.
reel that they do there about that. So, but yeah, No Other Land, definitely timely and important and, upsetting and all of the things that it intended to do for sure. So if you're ever able to see that, go do it. I don't know if that's going to change anything with the Oscar win, its distribution model, which is none at the moment. So we'll see. We'll see. The next two up here both go to Dune Part 2. That is for Best Sound and Best Visual Effects. Does anything sound better than a sandworm? No. Does anything look better than a sandworm? Also no.
Correct.
Does anything play
Apparently
the
that.
harp better than the sandworm? I
Okay,
guess.
we got to talk about that because that was awesome. That was awesome. And then I love when they do it, they bring him out again. Him, her, it. I don't know. Do worms have a sex? Are they male, female? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, I love when Conan's like, look, when we spend enough money on that costume, we need to do it twice. It's so
Mhm.
good. Oh, it's great. Another thing that I want to talk about, I'm Not a Robot, wins takes it home for live action short.
Mhm.
That was a
Mhm.
surprise to me. I actually I picked something else. I
Yeah, we
think
both
I
picked
picked Alien.
Alien. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. I thought Alien was probably a lot more timely, but I'm Not a Robot was a pretty inspired story about a person who realizes that they're a bot. Like they realize themselves that they're a bot. So, and it was pretty original the way that that works.
Mhm.
I liked that. That was pretty cool. So it was good to see them get kudos for that.
Yeah, I was happy to see that. I thought it was really well made short film, and I really like their acceptance speech as well. I thought that theirs was really lovely. There have been over the past several years, there has been like a live action short that's kind of not necessarily like this, but almost like an episode of Black Mirror. And I think this is like the first one of those that is actually one. But yeah, I thought it was really well made. And yeah, like I said, I really like their acceptance speech. So go check that one out. I think that one's available to stream. Cinematography, Michaela, goes to The Brutalist. That seems, in hindsight, like of course it did. But yeah, cinematography for The Brutalist looks nice. Even the little reel made it look really nice. And there were some cinematographic shots in a lot of these films this year that were absolutely epic and breathtaking. But I guess the Brutalist body of work there summed it up the best.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still here as the international feature film winner.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I was so excited. I think all of Brazil shouted and screamed in joy. It was like the World Cup 2.0. I
Oh yeah,
had
for sure.
all my Brazilian friends that I've spoken to about this. They were all texting and just super excited. Really, really wonderful that it got to see the win and take it home. And I loved the speech again. I mean, this was a good year for acceptance speeches. Very little, very few of them were kind of middle of the road. They were all pretty good.
Yeah, they were all really well done. A special shout out to Fernanda Torres. We didn't mention her in the fashion, but she looked very elegant.
She
I
looked
thought
beautiful.
sitting there looked great, looked great. The next couple up, we have wins for The Brutalist. So best score goes to The Brutalist, setting that soundscape for the world of brutalist architecture. There is very visceral sounding, but it definitely did kind of create kind of the tone for this world that they were attempting to build within the film The Brutalist. And then best
Mhm.
actor, that one was up for debate. Chalamet, I think, was your pick for that one this year, but Adrian Brody, don't bet against Adrian Brody, I guess, if he's nominated
No,
for best actor. So
yeah, that it was tough. And it seems like it was already written in the stars like that evening, right before they began. I was looking over my picks and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that wrong. I can feel it. It's tough because Adrian Brody's amazing. He doesn't touch many things, right? He doesn't act. He doesn't do 6 films a year or anything like that. Like that's
mhm.
But the stuff he does really masterfully. I still think the world needs to watch out because Timothée Chalamet is going to become one of these. He's going to be like the Kate Winslet. He's going to be nominated for almost everything he does because he's so good. So
I was going to say, do we think is it time to declare Timothy Chalamet as the next Leo?
oh
Is it just going to be near miss after
yeah.
near miss after
Oh
near miss?
man.
Do we
Yeah.
think? Is that possible?
No, I hope not. I mean, I didn't want Leo to become Leo, right? Like I wanted him to win
Oh yeah,
for the Basketball Diaries, in like a million, like his second movie out.
right.
So yeah, I hope not. I hope that he just continues to carve out movies that are freaking awesome because he's a triumph in everything he touches. He took it well. That's of course one of the things that you see, right, is that they show like the reactions of everyone else. And Timothy, whether or not, I mean, he's an actor, so maybe he was really pissed, but he seemed genuinely happy for Adrian Brody. And Adrian Brody's speech was pretty long. His acceptance speech was pretty long. And I loved how he was like, nah, stop. I'm not done. Like, I'm not done talking.
Well, I mean, he did say stop. I'll make this brief, and then he did not. So-
Yeah. I like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of a balance. I like that he didn't just let them walk him off the stage, but he said he had to say it like 3 times, and
I do like that. But had I don't the it was that the visual effects for Dune Part Two, I think, also got played off. And if they would have told him to stop, they would not.
right, right. Which goes back to if the idea is to like let's give people a good 3 minutes to thank like, and if it's a multiple winning. I mean, I don't know, right? Because I'm not the one who's being asked to do this. But if
Right.
multiple people win, you need to be able to say, okay, well, each of you get a minute, and have that not be the worst thing that could ever happen, because that's what we're here for. It's
Mhm.
hard when you have like 5 people winning, and you don't want to each of them. If you give that, I mean, that's hard. But I don't know. I liked his speech. I thought I was proud of his gumption. Um, to continue to talk and to
To stand
continue
up
to do it,
and to
right?
continue to talk. Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Uh,
Versus Sean Baker. Oh my gosh, he had the opportunity to speak like 8 times.
that's true.
And by the end, he was just like, "Happy birthday, mom."
Yeah,
That's cool.
maybe
That's
maybe in another parallel universe where we're winning Oscars, maybe if I win it on my mom's birthday, I lead with that till my first one in case I don't win three. Maybe I tell her happy birthday on the first one. But yeah, Sean Baker wins the Best Director award there for that because it was Anora's night. After all, for sure, and yeah, it kind of made that indication. I think early on, by the time that this award rolled around, like I was pretty much feeling that Sean Baker and Anora was going to win it, and I was also feeling that Mikey Madison was going to win for Best Actress. We talked about that, kind of the back and forth between her and Demi Moore. I really loved her acceptance speech as well. I thought that was really nice moment for her. Hopefully, we get to see more from her in the future. I thought that was great. I did want to shout out Sean Baker there, who did come out, and props to Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or else we might not have gotten that film at all. So I thought that was really nice too. So
yeah, yeah. No, I thought her speech, Mikey Madsen's speech, was lovely. She seemed just genuinely overwhelmed, and I love it when um she's for an actress, right, who's like half of their life is memorizing lines, right? Like that's just a staple of what they're able to do. She was so nervous. She had like a little note list that she made because she didn't want to forget anybody. Um, I just adored her, and I thought she looked beautiful. I thought her dress was stunning. I didn't see her walk the red carpet at all. I don't know
mhm.
why. But when she got up to take the award, I was taken aback by how pretty she looked. And look, a lot of people, there's a lot of, I don't know if there's a lot, but apparently there's some controversy around Sean Baker and his directing style and the things that he does. But I thought it was great that everybody that won on behalf of Anora gave credit and to the sex worker industry and the folks that they had met through that industry and their stories and things like that. I thought that that was something that was worthy to say, and
Hmm.
it made me feel like we were that this film was not as exploitive as others were saying it could have been or would have been, right? So
Yeah.
I thought that that was good. And then when Anora took home Best Picture, that was pretty awesome. I was
Hmm.
excited. I cried, obviously. It was just Anora's night.
It was Nora's night. Yeah, won best adapted screenplay, best cinematography, best director, best actress, and then best picture there as well. Did I miss one? I think that was it. That was it. That was original screenplay. Oh, editing as well. So yeah, so ended up winning I think five of its six nominations. So very good there for Nora. One best picture. I had picked Conclave in our pick'em because yeah, I was still even last night. I think even just a little bit surprised when they called Nora. And I don't know why that is. It's I think maybe just because of the content of the film. I just didn't think that that was going to be something that they would I don't know, choose as the best film. Right? It seemed a little bit more out there. Right? It's a little bit more daring, I guess, in its subject matter than something like Conclave was. So I was still a little bit surprised, but yeah, definitely well warranted. Anora's an excellent film, and if you're of age where you could go see it, I guess that you should probably go do that, right? Because it's an excellent story. The acting in it is excellent. All of those things that it won for, I mean, are excellent takes. So it was your pick to win Best Picture this year, Michaela. So kudos to you on that one there. And then we will be talking about Anora next week. So
We will.
stay tuned for that. We'll be trying our best to recreate the excellent cocktail from Fanny's. There, the Anora Best Picture cocktail, which is something we've done the last couple of years. So we want to continue on with that trend. So look for Anora to drop next week. So yeah, it won Best Picture. Michaela, you were right on Best Picture. I didn't really add these up too close to see who won between you and I. We'll just have to just learn that later. But I did want to say a big thank you to everyone who voted in our Pick'em contest this year. We had a lot of entries, and that was, it's always exciting to see when my email like pings off and I see that someone else has, entered into the contest Pick'em. And we had our winner last night with 18 correct picks. So beat both of us, Michaela. That's for sure. Stay tuned or keep an eye on your email. I will be emailing the winner here shortly to coordinate getting that prize package out to them. But yeah, special thank you to everyone who took the time to go in and enter those because we know that everyone doesn't watch, all 50 or 48 of these films like we do. Michaela, not everyone, puts in the hours to the Oscars that we do for sure. So it's always fun to see when people are getting in there and getting their entries in.
Yeah. No, totally. No, congratulations to who that lucky person was. I do feel like you won this year. I think you had 15 correct and I had 14. So I might have called Best Picture,
That
but
is correct. Yeah, yeah,
you overall won.
that's true.
So that's good. That's good. So
It,
um,
it was good. It
I
was
don't.
fun. Michaela and I texted throughout the evenings. That was nice. We kept our eye on things. Yeah, I took an early lead. Michaela stormed back, but yeah, in the end, I did end up winning by one, which I think puts our total lifetime Oscars at 3-3. So we're back level. I'm glad I didn't go down two. That would have been too much to come back from. So that was it. That was the 97th Academy Awards. Really good one. I There wasn't anything like crazy that happened. Um, I don't
I,
like.
I'm just glad Amelia Perez didn't win Best Picture, so we could do it again next year. Because you had told me that
Well, that's true.
if that had
Yeah.
won, you were done
I
with the
was
Oscars.
yeah, I was leaning that way to be honest. I was The Oscars were already on a short rope with me when Goodnight Oppie was not nominated a couple of
Yeah.
years ago, but yeah, so overall I think that it was a good Oscars. Certainly this is not meant to take anything away from the people that won these awards this year. But I don't think there's anything like super like memorable about the evening that we'll be talking about in a few years time too much, I don't think.
Probably not. I mean, people are going to be talking about the Wicked performance for some
Mhm.
time, I'm sure. And maybe Kieran Culkin's speech, I think, and the other thing too is the timing, because that's the first award that came out.
Mhm.
And so, most people saw it, live, because that kind of the viewership tapers off towards the end. So I think maybe those two things, but yeah, I don't think it's not the most memorable, but a good solid bit of work. I was proud of it. It did its job. It was all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good. So yeah, that was the 97th Academy Awards. So hopefully you enjoyed those. Hopefully you enjoyed kind of this little recap rundown with us here. Hopefully you were able to mix up some cocktails, and definitely let us know if you had your own partying cocktails and all that stuff. Let us know what you were mixing up that night. Let us know how you did on your own Oscar pools if you weren't able to get an entry into us. And yeah, stay tuned for Anora. That's going to be coming next week. We'll be talking about that one and mixing up that drink. Michaela's going to have to infuse some vodka with some beets and rose liqueur, I think, while I'm gone. So we'll see if we can get her
Woohoo!
started on that. And special shout out to Fanny's for making the most excellent spread of 10 cocktails this year. They looked absolutely incredible. Michaela, next year, the 98th Oscars, maybe we're going to have to plan an LA trip. I don't know, at least like the week before. Like, even if we can't get into the Oscars, maybe we can at least go and pay Fanny's a visit like the week of, so we can try these in person. That's going to be really fun. So speaking of fun, you can do lots of that on our website. It's www.drinkthemovies.com. That's where you can go and find pictures of our cocktails from all of the episodes, the recipes, pictures, all that stuff. You can get links to the merchandise shop, links to Drink the Video Games. All that stuff is there on our website. It's www.drinkthemovies.com. And there's also a link there to our Patreon. Patreon is awesome. We had our hangout with the patrons last week, a little Oscar kind of pre-show movie hangout. We do our cocktail chats and bonus episodes. All that stuff is over on our Patreon. It's patreon.com/drinkthemovies. So you can go there. It's a great way to support the podcast and get some extra bonus fun content for sure. Michaela, where can they follow along with the podcast so they are ready to hear us talk about Anora, the best picture of 2024?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are supported and distributed. We do 2 drops a week, one of which next week will be Anora. I'm super excited about that. If you're liking what you're hearing, leave us a review. Any of the platforms have an opportunity to do that. You can share all of our stuff through social media channels. We are so grateful to this community. The only way we can do the things that we can do is through your listenership. So keep sharing the love out there, because it really helps us get all the Drink the Movies art goodness out into the world, which is the best job in the world. It's really, really awesome.
That's right, absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up here for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you again to everyone who entered the Oscar Pick'em. Look forward to that. And Michaela, you know what time it is right now? It is time to start watching Oscar films for next year. I can already see it coming. So with that, let's go ahead and sign off, and we'll talk to everyone next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
Movies.
Movies. Oh, you can catch up on Love is Blind now that you're
Oh,
done with Oscar films.
Haters gonna hate.
Or you can rewatch Anora.
I am gonna rewatch Anora. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. I need to lock my kid away so he doesn't see anything he's not supposed to see. Oof.
Put on Dune Part 2.
Yeah, Dune Part 2. That'll be fine.